structural fire / water damage in Florida. I'm wondering if this is storm damage from a hurricane.
Please state your name after the tone, and Google Voice will try to connect you.
RJ Bates. Hello, is Beth there?
Who's this?
This is RJ Bates calling about your property there in Venice that you had entered on my website saying that you were looking to sell.
What was the name of your company?
My company is Titanium Investments, but I think you saw my ad on YouTube.
Yeah, it didn't say anything about Titanium Investments. So it was just like a lead generation ad?
Well, yeah, I mean, we run different ads to tell people, hey, we buy houses, and so there we have cash offer option, we buy houses websites. We've got all kinds of different websites, but that was my ad that was running on YouTube that you clicked on.
Okay, so I'm trying to make a decision of what would be in my best interest. I have more than one property, and I'm in Venice. I got hit with a hurricane.
Right. I saw that it said it had damage there. I was wondering if it was from the hurricane.
Did you go there?
No, I was saying like what you put on here, it says structural / fire / water damage. So I was figuring it was probably from the hurricanes.
Yeah, so I mean, initially, a lot of people come follow the hurricanes and they try to price gouge people, and I was freaking out because the initial quotes were like, oh, $47,000 to do the roof. Like, you guys are, you busted your brain. So the house is, now my estimates are around 20. So, and then on the, I had a privacy fence that got knocked down all the way around. I'm something weird that I've been investing in buying properties and doing exactly what you do for probably 30 years. And I've never seen, do you know what tile tenting is?
Are you talking about on the roof?
Yeah. No.
No, I don't know.
On the ceramic tile? Okay. So I didn't know what it was either. So essentially, it can actually be even more severe, called tile exploding. So what happened was something shifted a little bit and some of the tiles popped up. And so that's something I will fix because it's not, I've gotten estimates, they want $3 or $4 grand to fix that. And really it's just, I have to cut the grout line. The tiles are totally loose. I have to lift them up, put down some more adhesive and set the tiles back down. But it's just, at first I thought it was something structural. I didn't know if it was something that was maybe related to tree roots or septic, or I didn't know.
Right.
Now that I've figured it out, that's an easy fix that I could do in a couple of days myself. It needs some upgrades. The kitchen is currently a galley style kitchen.
Right.
When you walk into the front door, you look at a wall. And then when if you were to look, the family room has 18-foot ceilings and then in front of the pool. So that wall has to come out and the kitchen needs to be updated. The bathrooms could use updating and interior paint. That's pretty much the extent of, you could, if you want to put new windows and doors, that'd be great too. But my thoughts are this, I have to apologize. I don't know the exact square footage, but it's somewhere over 2,600, closer to 2,700 square feet.
Yeah, I've got it as 2,696.
Okay, so it's a true 4-bedroom with a pool. So when you search the area for that size square footage with a pool, the pricing is pretty high. You could even, you've probably done that already.
Well, I'm looking at it right now, and So real quick, because it sounds like you want to keep the house, but you're contemplating potentially selling it. Is that correct?
I don't know. I mean, I have another property, and the bottom line is for me to put out the cash to do the repairs right now. It's way too big for me just as one person.
Right.
And it may be better for me to go ahead and, take some profit off it, leave it as is, let somebody else get the main upside, because I'm not sure I want to physically do all the work right
Gotcha.
now.
So just out of curiosity,
I'm just kind of feeling out. Pardon me?
Out of curiosity, on like the roof and stuff like that, is that part of an insurance claim or was there no insurance?
I didn't have it. Well, I was in a transition. I moved
Gotcha.
about 80% of my things from another property, planning to stay there. And then when I got there, I did not move my insurance policy because I was going to sell my one that has been my primary residence and move my homestead there.
Gotcha.
So they kind of caught me I got caught in a dumbass trap because I wasn't expecting to have, a hurricane.
Yep.
It's been a long time since it hit right in that area. Not that it's not possible, but so yeah, I got caught. I did file a FEMA claim, and I'm actually they gave me $10,000, and I'm about to send in the appeal because there's nothing I can find under 20 plus for the roof. So they may help me with that, and that is the largest renovation or not renovation, the largest repair.
Right.
But the renovations, my thought is this, and numbers wise, if someone put, depending on if you're hiring out all the work, obviously the prices are going to be higher, but about $50,000 in improvements and repairs. You could probably go more if you did windows and stuff. You could easily stick 100 into it, but you wouldn't have to. And I think you could probably get closer to 6 out of it, just because of the square footage with the pool and the size lot, etc.
All right.
But I'm not sure I want to. I've been downsizing. I sold a package of 15 properties out of state, brought all my tools and toys and vehicles and things back to Florida to a property that I was going to renovate next, and I had a break-in, and they stole about $50,000 for the tools and supplies, and who takes freaking 5-gallon buckets of paint and primer?
Seriously.
Who knows? Huh?
I said seriously. I mean, geez, you're still in
So
paint.
they took crazy stuff that I don't know. So I was going to sell that property. It's like 10 acres, just under 10 acres, little private lake, 3-bedroom, 2-bath. I got my outbuildings, my workshops, all that kind of stuff, and stay in Venice. But now I don't know that I really want to do that. So I'm just feeling out where I would possibly be. I have gotten a cash offer from someone else, and I filled out that form thinking, well, let's just see. I don't know what your process is. Can you explain that?
Yeah, I mean, we're easy. I mean, realistically, my second question to you.
Hey, don't admit that out loud.
What's that? Oh, I got you. No, I mean, normally it's like, hey, you came to my website. Do you still want to sell? Yeah. Okay. What's your asking price? And then from there, I see if it can work. I don't try to beat people up or anything like that. It's pretty simple. It's either a good deal for me and it's something that I can come in and fix up and sell. I think your numbers are pretty spot on.
Do you buy and hold?
Yeah, we do both. We do buy and holds and we do flips. For obviously this is going to be a flip because, the price point. It's just not going to cash flow. It's not going to make sense to keep it as a buy and hold.
It would only do that if you were to Airbnb it, which would be
Right.
my other thought.
Which,
if I held it, because but for me right now, I only bought, well, I shouldn't say only. I bought that property to be closer to my daughter and my grandchildren.
Right.
And they're talking about moving out of state. And, she does Airbnbs. I was doing mostly commercial land and other residential, but I was buying and holding and doing annual renters, which, how aggravating that can get.
Absolutely.
For 15 years, it was great. Then I had like 3 evictions all in the same time period, and I just called one of my investor buddies and sold him the whole freaking package and moved out of Indiana. I just don't want to deal with that kind of crap,
Right.
So in 2 weeks he closed on them all, and I just took what I wanted that I needed and left home. But after I did that, I don't know if you've ever had a home invasion or what can imagine what it feels like, but they didn't just come in here and take a bunch of stuff. They came in here and went through every box, every closet, every cabinet, opened up my wedding gown, went through my daughter's toys that were stored in the attic. They had to have been here for days going through stuff.
That is crazy.
And then they had little piles of things planning to come back. Well, the property that this happened, there's 2 staircases. It's a barn-shaped house on the lake, and there's 2 staircases, and they made like a shrine. They took all the photos they found of me around the house and laid them out in this really weird pattern with some candles around it and on the staircase.
What?
And I was just ready to run.
Dude, seriously, that is freaky.
I know. Well, at this point, screw you. I'm not going to run. I'll freaking lock and load. I've had it. This has been my safe place. I love this. I like this place because, well, it's been my home for 25 years. Even
Right.
though I haven't lived here full time in 15, this is my base, my home base. And I'm not going to let some freak scare me out of here. I'll just blow them away.
You sound like you should live in Texas. That's how we talk here.
Well, I'm retired Army. I'm a nurse practitioner. I can heal you or I can kill you. Which one do you want?
I love that. I can heal you or I can kill you. Oh, man.
What do you like? I mean, I can, fix your little wound first and then I'll kill you.
Oh, man.
I haven't made a final decision on what to. Oh, I also have drywall, some ceiling drywall work. Then I can do almost any repair. Like I said, I've been doing this for 30 years, buying properties, and I had properties in Arizona and Texas and Colorado, Michigan, Indiana. When I finally just kind of dug up stakes and came back to Florida and brought everything to my lake house, and they came in here and stole all that stuff. That was like the first of multiple insults, I guess, because during the hurricane, getting ready for the hurricane, I put my back out. I don't know if you've ever done that either, but it's definitely, when you can't sit down, stand up, bend over, get out of bed, you start to lay there and think about, why am I trying to do all this stuff?
Jeez. Yeah, that's
And then
that's intense.
Then when the hurricane hit and I got back there and seeing the damage that I have, a lot of it's not a big deal. Like the roof is really not that big of a deal. Okay, yeah, they'll be in there and, within a couple of days I'll have a range of roof. But when I was getting estimates of $47,000, I know it's because of companies that were just following the hurricane. Now I'm down to the local companies and the numbers are much reasonable, and that's doable. But then I also have all the interior work. And I'm not sure if it's just because I'm a female and they automatically think I don't know what I'm talking about. And they'll come in there and they'll go, oh, yeah, you need 2 sheets of drywall in the ceiling in the garage. That'll be $5,000. And me, I'm sorry, I'm going to cuss. Get the fuck out of my property.
Right.
That's craziness,
Well, I have to tell you,
drywall on the wall.
I've been in business for 13 years, and all 13 years, my business partner is a female. Her name's Cassie. And we've been contractors. We were roofers. We never did storm chasing by what you're talking about. We were always just local here. And then, we got into, we got into real estate and we started flipping houses and owning rentals and stuff like that. And yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, there have been times where I'm like, hey, Cassie, go meet this drywall person over at the property. And sure enough, the estimate is, 5 times higher than what it should be. And I do think it's sometimes just because there's a female there. I mean, I think they view it as an opportunity to take advantage, and they try. It never worked with her though. It's always been hilarious to me because when me and her show up to a project to meet a contractor, they automatically start talking to me. And I tell them, I'm like, no, you're not going to be dealing with me. You're going to be dealing with her. And they just kind of give me this look. I'm like, my job's to buy the houses. She's the one that fixes them up. So listen. So
where are you located?
I'm in Fort Worth, Texas, but we do stuff all across the country. So we just like you. I mean, like you said, all those places that you just named. Well, we've never owned anything in Colorado. That's one of the places that you named that we haven't. But Arizona, we've owned it in Hawaii and Alaska. We've done stuff in Florida, Mississippi, Alabama. Pretty much all of the really good places to buy houses. That's where we've pretty much bought. So let me ask you, what
I looked on. Good.
What would be like if I said, "Hey, you tell me the number to walk away"? What would be that number for you?
Well, what I've looked at are what's the retail pricing, and then I've subtracted what I think someone might have to put in for repairs and upgrades, and then what kind of profit margin they'd get. And so I'm not sure what you normally make. Do you normally make $100,000 off a deal?
I mean, no, because if I go buy a property in Ohio, you can't make it. It ain't selling for $100,000. You know what I'm saying?
No, but I'm just saying, that was a good answer, because if you'd have said, "Oh yeah, I do that all the time," I would have said you probably are just trying to dick me around.
Right.
Here's the thing: if you put, if I'm just ballparking numbers here, okay? If you bought it for, let's say, $425,
Okay.
you put 50 into it, you could sell it for $650. You'd make more than $100,000.
Okay.
That's just ballpark. I know that timing-wise, I've been able to pack up stakes in a week or two, but I've got some things there because I was taking everything out of this place and bringing it all down there, and I feel like an idiot. Oh yeah, you're gonna drag it all back. Yeah, I guess I am, I'm considering that, because this house, I don't know, it's not as big, but I don't need 2,700 square feet. This one's 18. It's more appropriate for one person, but I've got my acreage here, and I've got my outbuildings and my workshop, and I can use all my toys and tools, and it's kind of crazy, but I got more table saws and skill saws and miter saws. I got more tools than Tim the Tool Man, and I like doing that stuff. But in Venice, I don't have anywhere to do it. I was considering bringing an outbuilding or building a shed there so I'd have a place, because there's nowhere for me to put that kind of stuff. If I put my garage into a workshop, I have nowhere to put a car. If I don't build extra buildings there, I don't get to do what I like to do. So I don't physically, financially have to sell. I could just stick the money into it myself and hold on to it for a couple more years and make the profit myself. But I want to go travel. I don't want to be tied to it, especially if my children, who are the only reason I went there, are going to move out of state.
Right.
Now, she's not positive. It's not going to mean, she's not positive on the timing, but she's hated Florida since the time we got here. And she's just waiting for her husband's grandpa to die so they could leave. And they've already owned properties in North Carolina and Michigan, and they're not staying here. I know they're not staying here. So for me to be tied to a property, there's things I like about it. What I like about it is conveniences. Walmart's closed, Home Depot's closed, 15 beaches closed. I like all of that. But my friends are here. I mean, I make friends pretty much everywhere I go, but I mean, my connections are here. And I like being able to run my power tools in the middle of the night where I can't do any of that there. I got a neighbor. We just put up the fence between myself and the back neighbor, or he's, but we've been having coffee together for, since the hurricane. You look out the window and there they are, and it's just too close. I don't like that. So I'm still in the contemplating phase, searching out what would work, and that's it. I mean, I'm not.
Do you own it free and clear, or is there a mortgage?
I do.
You do?
No.
Would you be open to seller finance?
That depends. I mean, the majority of it, no. I need some cash up front. I'm not, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, the reason why I'm saying that is because I might be willing to give you more money if we don't have to go take out a loan to do the purchase, especially if our exit strategy is to fix it up and sell it. So it's essentially like it's kind of a blend between seller finance and innovation. If you're similar to innovation, it's kind of along the lines of.
Well, I also do hard money loans.
Okay.
I'm connected with a lot of hard money lenders, so.
Right.
If I were like a newbie and this is my only home I ever owned and I've never done any of this, then it might be a little different. Seller financing is nice because you can have a monthly income, but that's not really a goal for me. I've got monthly income. I've got other passive incomes. I think a lot of it is because of my health concerns right now. Because of putting my back out, and every room I walk in, there's something. Not great, not huge, not expensive, not big, that I couldn't physically do. And it was just like so aggravating that there wasn't I didn't feel like I could relax. Right. And I'm not sure what's worse, coming up here where I know that some idiot's watching and, they've broken here, but it's probably never going to happen again after, I've been here almost 30 years. So probably won't ever happen again, and I'm ready for them now if they do want to come in. I didn't have cameras. I didn't have, a security system because I just never felt like I needed it out here. But maybe I need it more here than I ever did because it is so isolated. But as far as seller financing, what are you thinking? Finance the whole thing?
Well, I mean, it's kind of like a short-term thing because our objective, our exit strategy is to. And it's more of like just kind of seeing where you are in this place. If
no, it's a reasonable question.
Because my thing is I'm looking at it. I'm not going to go in there and do the work myself. So my concern is
would decrease your profit margin.
Well, yeah, and it also just what is my actual rehab budget going to be? It's probably going to be more than $50,000, and so then it gets to the point of
unless you decide to do windows and doors, you could definitely do it for under 50. If the roof is like 20, 30 would get you the upgrade in the bathrooms and decent on the kitchen. You could probably go 75 and do higher end. There's also 2 fireplaces that it would be nice to add some cabinets around or reface them.
Right. And I'm assuming we're going to have to paint. Right, we're going to have to paint the inside and the outside, right?
I mean, you could get away without painting outside, although the color I chose when I painted it, it's not been too long since I painted it. It's like a Florida light green.
Right. Which, I mean, I'm looking at a property right here on Mimosa Road that was similar color. It sold for $595. So, I mean, I it's more about just the quality. Does it look good, right? And is it, or does it look like, hey, it's been there for a while?
I got some soffit and fascia damage.
Right.
Roofers don't even do that. You know that? Most of them are like, yeah, no, we don't do that. Okay, great. But I can fix. There's quite a few things that I could repair before, like I have all the panels. I just got to get up on the ladder and put the strip back in and slide the panels back in. They're not gone. It's not destroyed. It's just.
I'm thinking I'm starting to understand why your back went out. I think it's because your answer is always, "Hey, I'm just going to go do it myself."
Well, when I was preparing for the hurricane, and then when I got back and had to try to clean up, I was moving 8-foot fence panels, and all kinds of lumber and tools and things that I had brought from here, from my northern Florida property, to there, thinking I was going to sell this one. Does that make sense?
Yep.
I guess it doesn't make sense, but
It makes sense.
And now I'm thinking I would be better off to take the profit out of that one. In this house, I don't need to do all that work. It's not, anything I would do here would be upgrades. It doesn't need repairs. I want a new 2-car garage. I own another 7-acre piece right next door. So I just have more flexibility here and more privacy. That's more important to me. But I also know I'm not looking to get raped on what that property is worth. If you come in at 4, put 75, you can get crazy, put 100, but I wouldn't suggest it. You can easily sell it for 650.
So let's talk about the resale value, the ARV for a second here, because I've got my comps pulled up.
Airbnb?
So I'm looking, I got a 693, but the problem was it was built in 2007. I got a 580 built in 2022. I've got a 595 that was built in 1977.
Are they comparable square footage and bedrooms?
So this one that was built in 1977 for 595 is a 5-bed, 4-bath, 2230 square feet. So it's a little bit less square footage, extra bed. So I think I see how we could get in the low 6s. I'm wanting to find something that tells me 650, because that's where I might, I see 693, but it's a 2007 build,
And again, the square footage and the fact if there's a pool or not a pool.
So let me look at this 595.
My comps, my assessment of the comps has been a couple weeks ago. So I don't know, but I should have probably looked at what's sold. And who knows what the market's going to do.
So 595, there's no pool. So you're right. 595, no pool, less square footage. So there's value there, obviously, right? 693. This is the one that's a 2007 build.
Sure.
It does have a pool, and it had a lanai. So is yours covered, or is it just out? What's that?
Well, no, it was not. But everyone around me who had one is gone anyway.
Gotcha. Okay, so there's that with that 693. Again, I could see how we could.
I really need to ask.
Yep.
I don't think you might have said it very initially, but what is your name again?
My name is RJ Bates.
Okay, let me grab a pen real quick. I'm not trying to jerk you around. My numbers might be give or take a little bit, but I'm not that far off.
No, you're not. I don't think you are. I think you're being very reasonable.
Somebody comes in and says, "Oh, I'll give you 250 as is." I'm like, excuse me, fuck you.
Right. Well, I
got better things to do. I'll keep it for that. I'll keep it and do the work myself.
Right.
Well, I don't do roofs, and I don't really do electrical. But other than that, I can do pretty much all of it. I can't do ceiling drywall alone.
Right.
And it's crazy. You try to hire somebody to help you out, or you hire a company that just come in and, like I said, maybe if I was a guy, they'd be more reasonable. But then I'm not. So hey.
Well, I guess for me, my
ask me if I want to go out with them.
my biggest question is do you actually want to sell? I mean, that's really, because it sounds to me like you're back and forth on that.
I mean, the bottom line is a numbers game. If I walk, and again, tell me about the closing costs and all that. How do you do that?
We cover closing costs. There's no realtor commissions.
Okay. So if I walk before cash, I could probably be out. Me and my back got to be nice to each other, so I wouldn't want to say, I can be out in 2 weeks, because that's probably not going to happen. One of the things that I am doing, which is irrelevant to this discussion except for the materials are there. All those fence panels that came down, I had an 8-foot privacy fence. The panels are all fine. They just snapped at the 4x4s. So I build stuff. I build planters. I build all kinds of stuff. They're stacked there, and I'm going to use them. So if I sell, I'll have to move them.
Okay.
Which I know I can't do that quickly. And then I have other materials there. I've got a bunch of concrete siding there. I've got a bunch of landscaping bricks and things, heavy things that need to be moved besides my, typical furniture move out. So I don't want to put myself in a short couple-week time frame, but I could do, 4 to 5 weeks to move out.
Which is preferable for us. I don't like doing 2-week closes unless there is.
I mean, I've done them before. Trust me, I've sold 15, 20 properties at one time like that. Emotionally, I'm not attached to that house. The location is why I bought it. I got a decent deal on it when I bought it, but I've had it for 10 years, And like I said, my daughter and my grandchildren was the main reason I invested there. If they're not going to be there, I'm open to selling if I walk with cash. Now you're saying what about
Let's talk cash only. Let's just talk about cash only. If I'm going to cover closing costs and there's no commissions and anything like that, and it's just pure cash, we can close in 4 or 5 weeks. What's that number?
I'd still like to be around 4. Because I really feel that the amount of upgrades you're going to have to do, I think if I estimate 75, that's high. And you still got 150 plus profit margin. And depending on how fast you move it, or how fast you get your work done, I don't know. I don't think it's unreasonable.
I don't think it's unreasonable. It wasn't the number I wanted, but
of course not. Hold on a second. Can you give me a minute to switch this over to my Bluetooth because I'm trying to
yeah, that's fine.
multitask. I just found a photo I'm going to use on one of my ads. Are you a scuba diver by any chance?
I am not. Me and water don't get along.
So,
I got a big beard, and so it just turns really curly.
Oh, that would suck. So I'm an avid scuba diver, and I found a photo where I was doing a shipwreck dive, and I found a bicycle next to the ship underwater, and I was riding the bike, and they took my photo. It's like, can you multitask? No. Okay, it was funnier in my head.
No, I laughed. I'm looking at numbers. You're asking me to give you $400,000, and then you told me a joke, and so it was kind of funny. And then I looked at the 400,000, and I realized it wasn't as funny anymore.
Oh, it scared you. Gotcha.
Yeah. So 650.
I mean, I'll be honest with you. I'm early in the process. The shift of thinking, well, sell that instead of this is really the impetus of the hurricane and some, my back injury and just a new revelation that my daughter's going to move. Would I be happy to stay there? Yeah, like I said, there's 12 beaches within 15 minutes.
Where's she moving to?
Anywhere that's not hot. She's got, we're originally from Michigan. And she wouldn't ever tell you that my exposure to her with real estate was anything to do with what she does, but I've been investing in buying properties for, decades, and most of the things that I was doing, Airbnbs weren't popular.
Right.
Or I would have done that. That would have been a whole different investment model, Well, she's killing it with Airbnb. And she's got properties, and she buys properties where she wants to either live or vacation. So she has options. It could be North Carolina, could be Colorado, could be Michigan, but it's not going to be a hot climate like Florida. She's not staying here, period.
Because I was going to say, why don't I go find you a property wherever she's moving?
Because I'm not chasing her.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I bought that property so I would be able to see them more. It didn't work out that way. I mean, do you have children?
I do. I have 2, but they're young. I have a 10-year-old and a 5-year-old.
Okay, she's got a 10-year-old and a 3-year-old and one on the other.
Gotcha.
All right? Right now, both her older kids are in 2 different schools. Okay? And the third one's coming. And it's not like she comes to visit Grandma. I have to go there. And I thought I would see them more being closer, but it's just their life, the phase in her life where she's at. She's just too busy for that. And if I got to go see her anywhere, it doesn't matter if I ride an hour and a half or if I ride 30 minutes.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So I'm not going to chase her. I can fly. I can travel. So if she moves to North Carolina, maybe I'd consider investing in something up there and having the option. But she moves back to Michigan, I don't know that I want to shovel snow, so I probably wouldn't buy anything to live there. I'm over that.
So what are you going to do when I give you $400,000? What are you going to do with that money?
I'm sure I'll reinvest, but I'll probably take 35 or so and build a new garage on my vacant lot. And I would consider maybe building a new house on this lake, but I don't know. I don't have to. I don't know. Maybe I'll just kind of take off and go scuba diving around the world. I don't know. I don't have to.
That sounds fun.
I mean, that's not a joke. I've been offered a position as a nurse on a private yacht. I'm a nurse practitioner, and
right.
they'll give me $160,000 a year to travel around on their yacht and provide care to those idiots who probably drink too much or do too many drugs. And then, I've got every weekend off, they say.
I don't know, man.
So
that nurse job sounds pretty legit. $160,000, and all you're doing is just traveling around on a yacht, giving them some IVs.
And whatever country we stop in, I just do my dive planning.
Yeah.
Before I get there and go diving. I mean, I don't know. It's harder to travel nowadays alone. Well, I mean, I've been doing it forever, but I feel less safe traveling by myself now.
Right.
But maybe, other staff or crew or, I don't know. You always have to dive with a buddy, so whenever you hook up with a dive shop, they connect you with a buddy. So, you're not, when I get off the ship and go to the dive boat, I'm probably still in the same arena. I'm not doing a lot of independent flights and all that kind of stuff. Of course, I can get a weird group on the boat and I end up overboard, but not to worry about that.
All right. So you said something. I want to ask you what you meant by this. You said you're early on in the process. So I'm just going to be honest with you. We're 38 minutes into this conversation. And that is like the longest I've lasted on the phone in like 10 years. So congratulations.
Should I feel bad or
I don't know.
Think that you find me a little interesting?
I maybe a little bit of both. I don't know. It's one of two things. Either you're interesting or you never stop talking. And so I haven't had a chance to hang up yet. It's one of those two things. I'm not sure yet. No, I'm just playing with you. But all right. So you're saying 400. If I were to say if I said 400 right now, would you say yes?
By the end of the day, I could.
Oh. All right. What happens at the end of the day?
I'm finalizing a couple of estimates that would impact on how I would spend that money.
I see.
And how I would get things moved out.
So I got a question for you. You remember how you said 400 and it wasn't the number that I was hoping for? You never asked me what the number I was hoping for was. Is that because you don't care and you're not coming down from 400?
Well, I have another offer on the table. So if, unless what number are you thinking of, RJ?
I wanted 375.
Yeah, I'm not sure I could do that because I just feel like, from investor to investor, yes, that's better for you, but as an investor myself, it's not better for me.
Agreed.
And the money is there.
It
the
is.
value is there.
I agree with you. If your numbers are correct, if ARV is 650 and I put 75,000 into it and I buy it from you for 400, I'm making $97,000 and that's a 15% profit margin. You are spot on. I mean,
but I will tell you, 75 is high as far as what you're going to have to put in it.
okay. I hear you. For you, because you are the type that says, I will get on a ladder and I will do this. I'm not going to do that. So I'm just being honest with you on where I sit. And so it's like, I got the roof, I got the galley kitchen, I got your ugly wall that I stare at when I walk in the front door, right? I got drywall that I'm going to have to do. I'm going to have to do some paint. I got to fix the tiles. You told me all the fences blown down, so I got to do that, right? So it adds up. I mean, when we're
the back fence, you're only going to have to do. Right now, I've got one gate and the left side. The neighbor is putting up the back. He's putting up the same 8 foot that I had board on board, and so the only thing you have are replacing one gate, adjusting one gate, and 3 panels on the left.
okay.
Which I have the panels. You just got to put a new 4x4. So it's not like a $5,000 fence repair. It's like, even if you hire it out, you should be able to get it done for about $500.
I got you. Okay. So you're at 400 by the end of the day. I'm at 375 right now. Is there any wiggle room in there? Obviously, you're still talking to me. So whoever the other person is, I'm not worried about them because I'm better than them. Because otherwise you would say, hey, you're.
Well, you asked me earlier. I commented earlier about being in the process.
Yep.
Early in the process.
Yep.
I just found out about my daughter's desire or intent to move relatively soon.
Right.
And so my assessment of cost, repair cost on both properties or upgrade costs on both properties, I have not completed. So that's why I say I'm early in the process. I just made the thought switch between keeping that and staying there because of my grandchildren and daughter or coming back here. So that's what I mean by new in the process. The day I put in, which I believe was like 2 days ago, the day I put in my information, that was the first I learned about her intending to move in the next year or so.
Gotcha.
So that's why I'm early in the process.
But I
and
think
the other person is a friend of mine who just, he's just like, well, you want to do this? I'll do this. And so it wasn't like, it's not the same.
Right. I mean, I would say this. I think at this point in time, we've been talking long enough where I think you know that we're speaking the same language as investors. I think that you understand that I'm pretty serious about this. I don't think that your $400,000 number is a bad number. What I am most concerned about is the two numbers that I feel are variables, right? We've got the 650 resale price. I think that I have a little bit of concerns there because I have validation on 595 without a pool and a little bit less square footage. I just don't know if the pool and a couple hundred extra square feet is enough to get me to 650. So that's one of my biggest concerns. And then, and then the 75,000, you and I have talked about that. So that's why I'm saying
repairs.
Yeah. If we could find a middle ground in between 375 and 400, I think I would be ready to pull the trigger and work with you on your time frame on when you need to move out and stuff like that. So that's kind of my position on
well,
this.
I mean, I don't know what your style is. If if you're the kind of investor that, okay, we've spent close to 45 minutes on the phone, and you feel like, okay, if I haven't made a decision in 45 minutes, then you're done with me. Then if that's the type of style that you have, then we probably won't be having a lot more conversations.
Well, I'm
usually
a decisive type person.
Before a deal's done.
I'm a but I obviously understand that you're early on this process. So if you need today, you need the rest of the week, then I'm okay with that. I just don't want this to be like
I
something.
think it would be wise for you to do some more research on the cost of the roof, or what I need 41 square. It's a 412 pitch on the roof.
Yep.
I've got several investments. Now, here's the other thing that might be a factor. FEMA gave me 10 grand. A lot of roofs you could do for 10 grand, but this is a larger house, so I have to send in the appeal. So I got the estimates. I've got to send in the letter. They'll probably give me the rest of the money to fix the roof, and I could have the roof repaired before we closed. That puts you lower on repair costs and makes the $400,000 even more reasonable. But I can't guarantee they're going to do that, because right now I'm not going to come out of pocket to do that. If they give me the additional money, I'll repair the roof. If they don't, then it's going as is. Does that make sense?
I would prefer
But that takes
that you don't do the roof, and it allows us to do the roof. And so I don't know how FEMA works on that. Is that one of those things where like they release the money to you and then it's up to you to do what you want, like insurance money? If you don't do it, you don't get the rest of it? Or how does that work? Like if they give you the money, you have to do the roof?
I mean, I don't know. I've never used it before.
Yeah.
But from my understanding, it's designated for that. I don't know.
That could just be part of
But if I signed a contract that said I'm selling it as is, I wouldn't do the roof. I mean, I wouldn't.
And you have that 10K, you could sell it to me for $390 then.
Oh, you are tight.
Mm-hmm. You're saying it's the
Or
same.
I could just fix the tile, so you don't have to worry about that. Fix the tile and finish.
Why do you love doing work so much?
Interior painting.
I just want you to stop doing work on houses and go scuba dive. Why do you want to keep doing work on the house?
Because I like it. I do. It's like, when you whip out the paint sprayer, see, now, painting on the interior would be no big deal because I'd be moving all the stuff out. It'd be like easy. But you're right. It is, it is time to just transfer something.
So where do you want to buy some houses after I give you this $390,000?
Well, we're not agreed on that number, but
Damn it, you caught it. You were just supposed to say Ohio or Indiana or something.
not in this fucking lifetime. I will never go back to those godforsaken places. I had about 30 properties in South Bend, Indiana.
Yeah.
I had this big plan. I was gonna, help out homeless people, and you could buy property. I bought a house for $6,000. It didn't need anything other than a new faucet in the kitchen. I had it rented out for 15 freaking years. Same person. I was gonna give it to her, and then she went dark on me with the COVID.
Jeez.
It's like, are you kidding me? I mean, I've helped them, their whole family. I've known their She went dark on me, and then she told me the tax guy sent her a tax bill there by accident. And she told me, I'm not paying my rent. I'm going to buy your house for taxes. I said, you know what? Yeah, no. So I sold it to another investor, let them kick her out. But it was worth $62,000. I only paid $6,000 for it. So, and I collected rent for 15 years. So, I don't know. Invest South Bend, don't ever go there. South Bend is like a gang. No, it's like a crossroads between Chicago gangs, Detroit gangs, and Indianapolis. And that's they meet there.
Don't forget the pretentious Notre Dame kids.
Yeah, the snobby. We want to be our own city, Notre Dame.
Exactly. All right.
They got nothing on Disney.
That's true. So you don't like 390, huh? You're just sticking at 400, and you want to have a couple of dates before we get married.
Yeah, we don't do marriage.
Well, we're only going to be married for like 30 days, and then I'm going to pay you a lot of money in divorce. It's gonna be real fast.
Tell me your process. I mean, are you what you just do? You're gonna do what inspection?
Yeah, well, obviously we're gonna have to come out. We're gonna have to walk the property a couple of times because we have several different things going on. You've got roof estimates, so we should probably be good with those if you don't mind sharing those. Specifically,
Sure, I got about 10 of them.
Yeah, specifically like the 20 ones, not the $47,000 ones. Don't.
Yeah. Well, and roofs boil down to this: what kind of warranty are they going to give you?
Yeah. Well, remember, I was a roofing contractor when I got started, so I look at those, and I can go through the ones that are just inflating it for no reason, and the ones that are being legitimate. I already have a pretty good idea of what you said with 41 squares and a 412 pitch. I mean, that gives me a pretty good idea of where we need to be.
Too much information.
So
too much information on an average call that took too long. I got you.
No, I appreciate this. I will say part of the reason why this conversation is more in depth is because you know what you're talking about. So typically in this situation, it's more of like owner occupant. They're saying, hey, I just need $350,000 to get out of here. And then I send them the contract for $350,000, and I say, you'll have this in 30 days.
That's not true. They tell you want $350,000. You go there and do your inspections. You say, maybe I can give you $310,000, and they take it anyway because they're desperate.
I only do that if it's absolutely necessary. I'm actually one of the good ones. I'm not a douchebag just because I can be.
Oh, well, at least you know you can be.
Well,
I think you come with the beard.
Listen, there are people in that position. I mean, look, I just got a signed contract this morning for a property in Detroit, Michigan for $10,000. So similar to that South Bend, Indiana deal. Mm-hmm. That property, I'm not gonna beat him up. I mean, it's a standing house for $10,000. Like, could I go to him and say, look, dude, after walking it, your shit box isn't a supreme shit box. I mean, I can only give you $8,000. I mean, my God, what? I have to sleep at night. Like, I need to be able to look at my daughter and understand that I'm a halfway decent person. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. One of the properties I bought in Indiana was it had a one-bedroom apartment on the bottom and a three-bedroom apartment that was second and third story. It had one of those witch's hats, the circular kind of window area. It was really cool. And the utilities the electrical boxes were in the basement so that the tenants couldn't get to it. So I'm doing I already closed on it. I don't remember exactly what I paid for it, $20,000 maybe. And I cleaning up down in the basement, and I reach behind the freaking electrical boxes, and there's a handgun.
Oh, jeez.
I'm thinking, shit. There's a little semi-automatic Beretta. I better go check with the police department, see if there's any bodies on this bad boy. And I should have known I was in big trouble up there when I didn't even have to call the cops. I just walked out the door, and they were driving by. I flagged one down. Next thing you know, there's 6 different cops because they all drove their own cars at that time. And they're all just having a good old laugh about it, telling me, yep, you just bought yourself a really expensive handgun.
Jeez. Listen, we had a deal. You can look this up, okay? It was on Winnetka, so Winnetka in Dallas, okay? We placed an offer on the property, and then simultaneously, our buddy that we knew also placed an offer on the property, and we went and walked it. He went and walked it. He got the property. Like 6 months later, we find out on the news that brand new concrete pad that was poured in the backyard was because a gentleman went into the house, murdered the owner, stole his identity, pretended to be him, was the seller, received all. So he stole the house through murder. Okay. Received all of the proceeds for the house, buried the guy in the backyard, and then poured a concrete pad over him. And so when my buddy was in the house rehabbing it, he was like, why are there so many flies and this and that? And eventually they were like, dude, there's something wrong with this concrete pad. And they dug up the concrete pad and they found the dead body. And so this is all over the news and there was articles written about it. And I am like, praise Jesus, I did not buy that house. Seriously. And it was like over like $5,000. Like I missed out on it by $5,000. And I'm like, best swing and a miss of all time.
Thank you, Jesus. You know, the very first real estate investment deal I ever did was the best one I've ever done. And it was on a bet.
On a bet.
On a bet. The guy bet me $10,000 that I couldn't come up with $500,000 by noon tomorrow. And it was a 4,154-acre piece of property. He had it under contract. He couldn't come up with the rest of his deposit, so he was going to lose the contract.
Right.
So I said, I'll take that bet. So I actually got a couple of guys around the area together and explained to them the benefits of this property. Well, I don't know if you're familiar with Florida, but one of the biggest retirement communities in the United States is called the Villages.
I've not heard that. I've not heard that.
Well, look it up. It's like, you know, it's like the largest retirement community in the nation. They've got the highest SVP, the highest SVP numbers in the world. Anyway, this property, they've been there for 30 plus years, and they were running out of space to build. And this property had road frontage on I-75 and I-4, but no exit ramps. Okay, and it was closest to their property. And I bought it. I took that bet because I knew the Villages needed this property. So I got it at $35 million was the contract.
What'd you sell it to them for?
I had partners, but 63.
Oh, damn! You're right. That was a damn good deal. That was your first ever deal.
And plus, I got the 10,000 because it was his personal bag.
Yeah, don't forget the 10,000, right? I love it.
I also got money paid out because I was involved in the financing.
That's hilarious. That's
So,
amazing. Hey, someone on my team just said that you and I have been talking so long that they guarantee that you would marry me the first time we meet in person. But you said you don't do marriage, right?
nervous about that. Thanks.
It's because I don't do scuba diving. It's okay.
Every guy I ever dated wanted to get married. Every guy I ever dated wanted to get married. I look back, I should have took one of the first couple, you know? But hey, it is what it is.
That's awesome. All right, so
you do your numbers.
I did my numbers.
4 is good.
I did my numbers. You think 4 is good? I said 390. What do you think?
I don't feel like kicking the dog over. Do you want to kick the dog over 10 grand?
I don't know. Do you? See, you're getting a lot more out of this than I am.
I don't have a dog.
Oh man.
Well, let me let you go. You do some thoughts, and I got somebody standing here looking at me, so I will.
Well, when are we talking again?
I guess it's up to you, because it sounds like you feel like you've invested too much time already.
Oh, look at you! You're pulling away from me.
You've been on the clock. We've been on the clock.
We got 47 seconds until I've invested an hour into this. This is a big time first date. All right, listen. 395 made me feel like I won something today.
Oh, come on. What are you going to beat me up for $5,000 for.
Why you got to beat me up? I came up 20 grand from my original offer, and I'm saying, all right, can you at least give me something on my very valid concerns, the resale value and the rehab? You're gonna walk.
What type of time frame are you talking? What kind of time frame are you talking?
4 or 5 weeks. What you said you needed.
All right, so I would need 25,000 deposit.
Oh, what are we talking about? $25,000 deposit. What for what? For it to sit in an escrow account? You're not gonna see that money.
So I know you're serious.
Sweetheart, I have showed that I'm serious about this. And you can look me up, you can Google my name, I can show you HUDs, I can show you how many deals I do. What I do not want to do is yes, I'm not gonna put $25,000 that I could be using on something.
So what's your structure? How do you usually do it? You do it with no deposit? Some people just, okay, we'll close in 30 days, and if you decide that you want to walk, you got nothing invested.
Yeah, because I don't make any money on not closing. I make money when I close deals. So me not closing on a deal is not beneficial for me or you. And what if I deposit the 20?
Wait a minute, let me say my sentence.
All right.
If I don't make any money on being tied up for 30 to 45 days, if that's close to the end of the deal, you decide to walk. So what kind of provisions do you put in your contract regarding that?
I can put an inspection period on.
What I do, you put a deposit, you do your inspections, your deposit goes hard after the inspections, you close at XYZ date, and that's generally how it goes.
I understand, but what I'm saying is I have no idea what's going on with this property outside of what you've told me and what I've been able to see. You asked me to put $25,000 down. I put that in an escrow account. That now cannot be released to me unless you agree to release it. What if we pull this up and you've got a freaking $600,000 lien on the property? You say, I don't want to sign that release to release your AMD. Now I got $25,000 of good cash.
Stop. I don't have a legal right to hold your deposit until it goes hard.
Right now, I have money literally sitting in escrow accounts where I cannot get my money back, my earnest money back, because the sellers will not release it for various reasons. Because
then your contract sucks.
What? Listen, at that point in time, the title company is just a third party, and they hold their hands up in the air and say, we're not going to do anything unless both parties agree to release it. And so
no, but the terms of the contract that I use state that the deposit, here's how it works. You put the deposit down, that gives you your inspection period. Once the inspection period is done and you've not backed out of the contract, then the money is not refundable.
Correct.
But until then, you have every right to pull it out.
Right.
Until the inspection date's closed.
What happens if the reason why we don't close is because of you after my inspection period? That's what I'm talking about.
Because of me what?
In that case, like using your example, 10-day inspection period passed. 15 days into the transaction, the sellers are not going to be able to close. I say, give me my earnest money back. And they say, we don't want to release the earnest money to you. That is a real thing happening to me right now.
I would find that's like wrong for them to try to keep your money at that point. I would not do that.
Exactly.
I would put a clause on the contract. That's something I would do.
Realistically, are you going to walk away from this deal over an earnest money deposit that doesn't even go to you? I'm not going to if I go through my inspection period, I'm closing.
There definitely needs to be what?
I said, if I go through my inspection period, I'm closing. I'm not going to lose earnest money. I'm closing at that point in time.
Well, I pulled 25. Maybe not 25, but there needs to be some earnest money. Because here's the thing: if I put it under contract and you do walk, then I'm out however many days that you're into it.
Okay.
And then I'm restructuring everything I need to do. I don't want to start moving out and find out that you're in the wind.
All right. Sounds good. Here's what I'll offer you. A realistic earnest money. 1%. 1%. Okay. So give me
4%.
Yeah. That's a realistic single family earnest money deposit. So $4,000. And that is deposited at the expiration of our inspection period. So we are saying, yep.
No. That goes in at the initiation of the contract. Maybe that's different in Texas, but.
Well, here in Texas, we have to pay for our inspection periods. We call them option periods. But I do deals all over the country, so I understand how this works. But what I'm saying is I don't want to deposit money on day one and then go out there and walk the property, and I find out your $75,000 is really $250,000, and then I need to wait on you to release my money. If I go out there, you don't lose anything. If I go out there on day one and say, "Oh, dude, I cannot do this for $75,000," you might be able to, but I can't. Here's a termination. We move on. If I go out there and I walk in and I say I want to do it, I'm going to put my earnest money down and we go close.
Yeah, that's backwards to every property I've ever done.
But it's not for me.
If that's something they do in Texas. That's kind of cool for you then.
No, here in Texas, what we have to do is we have to deposit our EMD and then we pay to the seller an option fee. So, like, for example, in this deal, what we would do is we would deposit $4,000 EMD at title, and then I'd pay you $100 for an option period. And then you get the $100 regardless of what happens, and you get to keep it. And then
so
if
when
we
you sign the contract,
yep.
When the contracts are executed, you don't put up any earnest money.
We can put on the contract, it says when earnest money needs to be deposited by. So typically it can be 48 hours, 72 hours. But that is a negotiable term. That's why I'm saying let's talk about it.
Okay, so I'm saying you need to put earnest money up when we sign the contract with an inspection period designated in the contract. If it's 10 days, which is the number you threw out, at the end of the 10 days, if you've not canceled the contract, you don't get the earnest money
right.
back.
You get the earnest money.
10-day period, you cancel the contract, then you get your earnest money back.
Correct. But I don't want to put that 4,000 up and inside that 10 days, because if I terminate and I have to literally wait on you to sign it, and you could just be like, well, we had a great hour-long conversation. Okay. We can argue about mythical money that's just going to sit in an escrow account, or we can actually try to do the deal where we're going to be able to actually do a transaction together. I hate earnest money more than anything because it's just it never actually makes a difference at the end of the day. Like, I'm going to tell you during the inspection period whether or not I'm closing or not. Like, there is no way that I'm going to cancel on day 11 and give you the earnest money deposit.
Okay. I've got a internet guy stand here.
Okay.
I don't do internet either. So I'm going to go ahead and jump off here and try to reconnect. Let me do some investigating about this earnest money situation. I'm not sure that I understand your point is you just don't want to put your cash out of pocket. I get that. You don't want to put your money at risk that you can't get back right away when you need. I get that. But for an assurance to me as a seller to know that he's serious and, okay, we'll put XYZ to hold the property, so I'm not accepting other offers until your inspections are done. That's always been the way I've done business. But I want to look at what you're saying, how you're saying you don't what's the point of putting up earnest money after your inspection period?
Because after my inspection period, it's at risk then. That is because if I cancel after my inspection period, I owe you the earnest money if I terminate. But I don't owe it to you.
So you're saying you just don't want to deposit it somewhere and have it sit there while you determine it. Is that the point?
Yeah, and if I decide to terminate, I then have to rely on you to sign a release.
If you decide to terminate, the title company just gives it back to you.
I'm telling you, I have title companies right now that, yes, we could put that as black and white as possible. Right now I have one in Texas. It was a deal in McKinney, Texas. I have another one in Florida. It was for Jacksonville, Florida. And I have a third one in, what is the other one?
Where they've got your earnest money tied up, you cancel the contract and they won't give it back?
All three of them, I did not terminate the contract. They do not have the ability to perform on their side as the seller. I want to buy their house. I might. You have a dead brother over here, and we need to figure out how to get an affidavit of heirship.
Yeah, and that's a whole specific performance.
Right. And so I'm saying release my EMD that we agreed that I would put down, because you can't sell me your house that I want to buy so I can make money, because that's the only way I make money.
They don't have a leg to stand on. They don't have a leg to stand on.
But the title company doesn't care, because they're just an unbiased third party. They don't make judgment calls. The only way that gets a judge would have to get involved. We'd have to get attorneys involved to get my stupid $2,000 released. That's what I'm saying is, like, I just don't want this to be the thing that kills the deal. But I'm also not going to continue to go down this path where I put money at risk for really no reason.
Well, that's what I'm saying. The earnest money is not at risk unless you pass the inspection period without canceling the contract.
Exactly.
The earnest money is not at risk.
So that's what I'm saying.
But it's not like the title company will release it to me. You're right. It just sits there.
Yeah.
It's not like the title company will release it to me unless you default after the inspection period.
Correct. And here's the thing. I don't care if it's in your bank account or the escrow account. It just isn't in my account. That's my point.
So no Aruba, Jamaica.
Right. That's my money and it ain't in my account. That pisses me off. And
okay,
so.
Well, I guess that's something that you'll have to. I'm sorry that the sellers have duped you around like that. There's nothing legal for them to stand on, but in my circumstance, in my experience, and the legal knowledge I have no right to your earnest money until after the inspection period if you have failed to.
So why do you care if it's at title before it would be owed to you?
Because then it's there and I don't have to wait for you to come up with it.
I don't.
Because then that's you saying, that's your commitment saying, I'm committed to moving forward with this. If during the inspection period I decide I don't want to, you get your money back. It gives me the assurance that you're serious, that I'm not avoiding other investors who would want to put it under contract because I'm tied up with someone who didn't put down any earnest money. So that's my thought. Anyway, John, I'll be right there. I know.
All right, you go do your thing. Let me call you tomorrow. You sleep on this. We'll date again tomorrow, okay?
You have a great afternoon.
You too. Bye.
Bye.
What the boom, snap, clap was that?
Boom, snap, clap.
We get all the way down to where we're commencing the ceremony, and she wants to ruin it over EMD?
Well, she also was absolutely on the moon. 25 grand. Like, come on. You know who she reminded me of? She reminded me of that seller in Denton. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
She even sounded like her.
Bro, yes. That was her.
Yeah, you had to close her on day 2 also.
That's why I gotta keep going here.
I
We're
know.
getting this.
Man, that was the
Man.
longest call in the history of the 50-50-50.
What? EMD? And she never answered it. If it's not yours in the inspection period, why do you want it there?
Because she needs a whoopee. She needs a whoopee because that's what people tell her she's supposed to have. She needs a whoopee.
Oh man. Just